Now on Spectrum Bay News 9, George Floyd's death sparked a movement. Now the officer accused of murdering him will soon face a jury. We're breaking down what to expect from the trial against Derek Chauvin. And all eyes are on Congress and President Biden as people wait for financial help. The big question, though, what will it take for the latest COVID-19 relief bill to become a reality? And one business owner managing to stay afloat amid the pandemic, but his journey to success was far from easy. We'll share that story and much more coming up. Your weekend evening news starts now. Thank you so much for joining us on Spectrum Bay News 9. I'm Cait McVeigh, filling in for Georgia Roman. This is your news weather now. The video of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin kneeling on George Floyd's neck for nearly 8 minutes has been seen around the world, and now jury selection is set to begin Monday in the high-profile trial against Chauvin, who is charged with murder in the case. Spectrum Bay News 9's Ashanti Ford is at Curtis Hickson Park with the very latest.
Millions of people watched George Floyd take his last breath as Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin was caught on camera with a knee to his neck. We all watched Floyd die that day, and Curtis Hickson Park here in Tampa, which is where I'm at right now, was host to several protests in response to that. Take a look. It was May 25th, 2020, when a local store owner called the police on Floyd for using a fake $20 bill. But what happened later would change our nation's history. The last minutes of George Floyd's life was caught on camera when Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer, kneeled on Floyd's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Nationwide and here in Tampa at Curtis Hickson Park, marches demanding change were organized for weeks. One organization on that road to recovery is the NAACP.
We have made a great deal of changes. We still have a ways to go, but we're in this for the long run. And I feel confident that we're going to get it right.
Chauvin will now stand trial set for tomorrow, Monday. He is charged with second-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter. Now, coming up at 10, we'll talk more about the trial, and we'll hear from the NAACP on the changes that we've seen since Floyd's death. In Tampa, I'm Ashanti Ford, Spectrum Bay News 9.
Security measures are already in place outside the courtroom in Minneapolis, Minnesota. You can see here barricades surrounding the building. Racial justice groups say they will be front and center for the whole trial. In response, city officials and law enforcement have added extra security measures, including extra fencing. When the jury delivers its verdict, officials plan to have 2,000 National Guard troops on hand. Of course, stay with Spectrum Bay News 9 for the latest updates from this trial. An update to this morning's breaking news out of Hillsborough County. The Tampa Bay Times says the man the Florida Highway Patrol arrested for leaving a crash was set to stand trial this week for a murder charge. 21-year-old Marquez Roberts was charged for murder in connection to a 2018 shooting. Troopers say Roberts was traveling along I-75 near Big Bend Road when a motorcyclist rear-ended him. FHP says Roberts did initially stop, but then he left the scene. He was later arrested at his home after FHP located his car. Emergency crews shut down the southbound lanes of the interstate for hours as crews worked to clear the scene. The new COVID-19 relief plan is one step closer to getting on President Biden's desk. The $1.9 trillion package passed the Senate along party lines on Saturday, but it has to clear one more hurdle before it reaches the White House. Our John Lawrence reports.
President Joe Biden says the American Rescue Plan will help the U.S. rebound from the COVID-19 pandemic.
Everything in this package is designed to relieve the suffering and to meet the most urgent needs of the nation and put us in a better position to prevail.
The bill had no support from Republicans in the Senate.
When people find out what's in this bill, they're going to lose a lot of any enthusiasm they may have for it right now, because this was not really about coronavirus in terms of the spending. This was a liberal wish list of liberal spending.
On Tuesday, the House of Representatives votes on whether to approve the Senate's changes to the bill, including the removal of a provision that called for raising the minimum wage to $15 per hour.
The conversation is going to turn to how we tackle the minimum wage, and the president is looking forward to working with Congress to determine the best way to do it.
If the bill passes through the House, it then goes to the president, who will sign it into law with little to no backing from the GOP.
This is the most progressive piece of domestic legislation in a generation. This was never about getting people back to work or kids back to school or the disease behind us. That's where it should have been focused.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Under the Senate's version, individuals earning less than $80,000 a year and married couples earning less than $160,000 can get $1,400 per person, and this includes children. Adult dependents, including college students, are also eligible for those payments. Let's take a look at the latest COVID-19 data here in Florida. The Florida Health Department reports more than 4,000 new cases and 66 deaths. This brings the total cases to more than 1.9 million. Sadly, more than 32,000 people have died from the virus. Right now, some states are cutting back on their safety measures and are trying to fully reopen. But Dr. Anthony Fauci says the cases need to go down before states go back to normal. This morning, in an interview with Face the Nation, the nation's top infectious disease expert says cases remain at a very high level.
Over the past week and a half or so, we've seen that decline has now done this, essentially starting to plateau. And historically, if you look back at the different surges we've had, when they come down and then start to plateau at a very high level, plateauing at a level of 60 to 70,000 new cases per day is not an acceptable level. That is really very high.
Meanwhile, Dr. Fauci and other health experts are urging those who are eligible to get a COVID-19 vaccine. In Florida, more than 3.5 million people have received a vaccine. More than 1.6 million have received the first dose, and more than 1.9 million have received both. Today, Senator Rick Scott addressed Tampa Bay's efforts to get people vaccinated. He posted this tweet praising Raymond James Stadium for vaccinating over 3,000 people in a day. A quick reminder, Publix's COVID-19 vaccine appointments for all of our Bay Area counties will reopen at 7 tomorrow morning. As we've been reporting, a lot more residents are now eligible to get the shot, so make sure you're on the list before signing up. If you are interested, also make sure you log on to the Publix vaccine website as soon as you can. Appointments, we've noticed, usually fill up in about an hour. Other retail locations are also providing vaccines. Head to baynews9.com to find out where you can go and how you can register. It's been almost a year now since the coronavirus first stormed America, taking with it many local businesses that couldn't afford to stay open. But in a time of uncertainty, one St. Pete native saw an opportunity. Spectrum Bay News 9's Ashley Paul shows us how a business born in a pandemic is bringing hope to people across the Tampa Bay area.
A lot goes into creating the perfect t-shirt.
First I start with a sketch, and then from the sketch I'll then put it onto the computer.
From design to conception, every step is done carefully at 1771 Designs.
I want people to see the shirts and know it's the Tampa Bay area without it saying Tampa Bay.
It's a meticulous effort, especially for an idea that was born out of unknowns.
My family owns an art gallery, and about a year ago we had to shut down due to the coronavirus, and I didn't have a clue what was going to happen going forward.
Pushing this Tampa Bay sports fanatic to take a leap of faith.
What I knew was that the business was closed and I wasn't going to sit around and wait to see what happens.
Fast forward a year later, the community support is keeping both businesses alive.
The shirts represent moments where the most die-hard sports fans can look at them and say, hey, I remember that.
Margot flying over the wall really helped kind of get the momentum back for the Rays. Yeah, it's been
because Shapiro says the love this city has to offer is undying.
It is dire and as black and bleak and dark as it was. People really wanted to support it. And
and he will continue to love it back in the best way he knows how.
Seeing the response from the city and the community has really made me want to keep designing as well. You know, and kind of as a thank you to them.
In St. Petersburg, I'm Ashley Paul, Spectrum, Bay News 9.
Even Oscar the Grouch will have to break out a smile for this next story. That 7-year-old you see there had a near-death experience with a garbage truck. But thanks to a sanitation worker, he's alive and sharing his incredible story. We'll have that and more after the break.
6:09, meteorologist Diane Katchmarek. We have plenty of sunshine. Madeira Beach camera actually everywhere. The last batch of clouds left us early this morning, so now we have all of this. Great for the day, but do keep in mind when we have those clear skies tonight, temperatures will then fall off pretty quickly in the overnight, because if you noticed also that humidity is just not there. Our dew points are so low, so temperatures will be lowering quickly. We're already down to 64 in Zephyr Hills and Inverness just from the low sun angle and the very chilly air mass now winning out. We're down to 68 in Tampa, 68 in Bradenton, 64 in Lake Wales. We do have the breeze out there, and that's making it feel a little cooler. And look at this, wind gusts still at 20 miles per hour in Tampa and Bradenton, 23 in Winter Haven. The gustiness will settle down, but it's still being rather breezy overnight, especially in our coastal areas, but it's still a direction that can bring in the cooler air. Big area of high pressure covering the southeast. Onshore winds on the Atlantic side, well, maybe a few sprinkles from the Bahamas to southeast Florida, but that's about the closest the rain even gets to us all week. Big high pressure area keeps all of our fronts away. We're in the middle of the week here, so gradually we're in the same air mass. We'll just slowly warm things up. But that's after we get into the morning on Monday. 47 degrees in Tampa with near 40 north. Yeah, there will be some upper 30s in Citrus County, but mostly clear skies through the overnight. You might want a jacket in the morning, but by afternoon, we're already topping 70 degrees. It's March. Our sun angle is a little higher, the day a little longer, so we'll still manage to warm up a little bit higher than today. And then by Tuesday, a little bit more than that. So basically, Monday morning is our chilliest. So we'll talk about our 7-day coming up in the next 10 minutes. Now here's Cait on 9.